What a showdown at Stamford Bridge. Chelsea edged out their fiercest rivals Tottenham with a lone goal, sealing a crucial win that rockets them back into the Premier League's top four. But how did it all go down? Let's rewind and relive the drama. The air crackled with anticipation as both teams took their places. Enzo Maresca had reason to smile. Nicholas Jackson and the ever-electric Cole Palmer returned to Chelsea's starting lineup, adding serious bite to their attack. Meanwhile, Ange Postecoglou rang the changes for Spurs after that bruising 2-0 loss at Fulham. 5 fresh faces, including the rock-solid Mickey van de Ven in defense and the ever-dangerous James Maddison and son Heung-Min leading the charge. Then, boom. Right from the first whistle, chaos. Chelsea nearly struck gold inside a minute. Jackson chased down a lofted ball, nudged it past the stranded Vicario, only for Van de Ven to make a last-gasp deflection onto his own post. The woodwork was still rattling as Spurs hit back immediately. Son tried to weave his way past Gusto, but his effort was blocked for a corner. Less than 2 minutes in, and the derby was already sizzling. Chelsea kept their foot on the gas. 7 minutes in, Gusto let fly with a first-time effort from the edge of the box, whistling just wide and nestling into the side netting. It was a breathless opening spell, with both teams playing at breakneck speed. A slight scare came for Chelsea when Moises Caicedo pulled up after a tough challenge on Spence. Substitutes were already warming up, but the Ecuadorian warrior shook it off and carried on. Good thing, too, because he was about to run the show in midfield. The Blues kept knocking. In the 29th minute, Jackson bullied Romero off a long ball, curled a shot toward the top right corner, just wide. Tottenham were hanging on by a thread. Spurs had their own wobbles, particularly between the sticks. Vicario, usually cool under pressure, nearly gifted Chelsea a goal in the 9th minute when he dribbled across his own goal line before pinging a pass straight at Neto. Somehow, Spurs escaped unscathed. Later, he fluffed a return pass to Romero, sending the ball out of play and putting his side in trouble yet again. But the biggest moment of the first half? The 44th minute. Chelsea came this close to breaking the deadlock. Neto's pinpoint cross found Sancho lurking at the far post. He unleashed a shot destined for the net, until Vicario pulled off a jaw-dropping save to tip it over. Stamford Bridge roared in frustration. As if the game needed more spice, tempers flared just before halftime. A fiery clash in Tottenham's half saw Romero body-check Colwill and Chalobah charging in to confront Bentancur. The ref had seen enough. Out came the yellow cards. Classic London derby stuff. The halftime numbers painted a clear picture. Chelsea had 0.42 expected goals, hit the woodwork, and controlled the game. Tottenham? Their only real test for Sanchez came from Son's tight-angle shot. The Blues were on top, but Spurs were still in it. And through it all, Moises Caicedo was immense. Despite that early injury scare, he completed every pass, fired 5 into the final third, won 7 out of 9 duels, and nailed 4 tackles from 4 attempts. He was the heartbeat of Chelsea's dominance. 1 half down, 1 to go. Everything was still up for grabs. The second half kicked off with both teams still hunting for that all-important breakthrough. But just 5 minutes in, boom, Chelsea found it. And who else but the captain to rise to the occasion? Enzo Fernández timed his run to perfection, meeting a pinpoint cross from Cole Palmer and nodding it home from close range. Stamford Bridge erupted. That's what leaders do, stepping up when it matters most. For Palmer, that assist was his 7th of the season, but his first in 16 long games. Chelsea have leaned on him all year, and once again, he delivered. And that chemistry with Fernández, it's real. 3 of Enzo's 8 Premier League goals have come courtesy of Palmer's service. Chelsea nearly put the game to bed just 6 minutes later, and in some style. Fernández floated a teasing free kick into the box, Spurs struggled to clear, and the ball dropped perfectly for Moises Caicedo. He didn't hesitate. A thunderous first-time volley ripped past Vicario into the bottom corner. Stamford Bridge went wild. But hold on. VR was checking. 4 agonizing minutes later, the goal was chalked off. Colwill was judged to be offside and interfering in the build-up. The home fans rained down the boos, but the score remained 1-0. That disallowed goal gave Spurs a lifeline, and in the 69th minute, they thought they'd grabbed it. Pape Matar Sarr, fresh off the bench, bullied Caicedo off the ball in midfield, drove forward and unleashed a 30-yard strike that caught Sanchez off guard and nestled into the far corner. The away end went berserk, only for VAR to step in again. This time, the review showed Sarr had caught Caicedo high on the knee in the build-up. No goal, and to make matters worse for Spurs, Sarr saw yellow for the challenge. Chelsea weren't content sitting on a one-goal lead. In the 79th minute, Fernández danced past Bentancur and whipped in a low cutback from the byline. Vicario got a hand to it, and Romero just about scrambled it clear. Moments later, Palmer nearly snuck in a looping cross under the bar, but Vicario, stretching for dear life, tipped it away. The Spurs keeper was keeping his team alive. Then, with just a minute left in normal time, Tottenham came this close to snatching a late equalizer. Solanke slid a perfect through ball to Johnson, who fired a driven cross into the box. Son Heung-Min, the ever-reliable finisher, slid in at the back post, only for Sanchez to make a ridiculous save with his chest. Chelsea hearts were in mouths, but the score stayed 1-0. And the drama wasn't done. 12 minutes of stoppage time were added, giving both sides a chance to change the script. Mathys Tel, on for Spurs, lashed a half-volley high and wide, while Chelsea shored things up by bringing on Reece James and Tosin Adarabioyo to see the game out. After 13 nail-biting minutes, the final whistle blew. Chelsea held on, securing a massive 1-0 win and clawing their way back into the Premier League's top four. For Tottenham, it was another bitter pill to swallow, their 16th league defeat of the season, leaving them languishing in 14th, a far cry from their Champions League ambitions. The stats told the story. Chelsea edged it with 1.09 expected goals to Spurs' 0.79. A deserved win, but one that could have slipped away if not for some heroic defending late on. A statement victory for the Blues as they push for Champions League football. Let's zoom out and take a big-picture look at where these two London rivals stand after Chelsea's narrow but telling 1-0 win over Tottenham. It's a story of two clubs heading in very different directions as we hit the business end of the season. For Chelsea, this victory is a massive step forward in their quest for Champions League football. Their form before the international break was patchy. Just 4 wins from their last 13 league games since mid-December, but now they've clawed their way back into the top 4. Not bad for a team still finding its feet under Enzo Maresca. And when it comes to facing Spurs, the Blues seem to have their number. 1 loss in their last 12 Premier League meetings, 9 wins, and 3 straight derby victories, with a combined score of 10-4? That's what you call dominance. Stamford Bridge is slowly turning back into a fortress. Chelsea have now won 4 straight home league games, keeping back-to-back clean sheets. In the last 5 seasons, they've only managed a 3-game home shutout streak once. Back in April-May 2024, a run that included a 2-0 win over, you guessed it, Spurs. History has a way of repeating itself. And speaking of history, Chelsea love a matchup with their North London neighbours. They've beaten Spurs more times, 36, and scored more goals against them, 120, than any other opponent in Premier League history. Only Arsenal, Manchester United, and Liverpool have put more goals past a single club in the competition. This rivalry has always leaned blue, and this latest win only adds to the trend. For Tottenham, though, this season has been one to forget. They're slumping in 14th, with just 9 games left to salvage some dignity. There was a brief flicker of hope in February, 3 straight wins after a brutal 11-game stretch with just 1 victory. But that momentum fizzled fast. A 2-2 draw with Bournemouth, sandwiched between losses to Man City, Fulham, and now Chelsea, it's looking bleak. And the numbers make for grim reading. Only Leicester, 10, and Southampton, 12, have lost more away games this season than Spurs, 8. The last time they dropped more than that in a single campaign, 2008-09, when they lost 11 on the road. And their London derby record? Woeful. No team has picked up fewer points in capital clashes this season than Tottenham, 10 with Brentford. They've now lost 5 of 9 against their city rivals. It's also been a brutal introduction to this fixture for Ange Postecoglou. He's now lost all 3 of his Premier League meetings with Chelsea, the only club he's faced without picking up a single point. In fact, he's just made history. but not the kind he'd want. He's the first Spurs manager ever to lose his first 4 league games against Chelsea. This game was a reflection of where these two teams stand. Chelsea's 1.09 expected goals compared to Spurs' 0.79 tells the story. Better chances, more control, and sharper execution. Tottenham's defensive cracks showed yet again, and even with Son and Maddison back, their attack lacked the edge needed to compete at this level. In fact, they've now gone back-to-back league games without a first-half shot on target, something that hasn't happened since March 2024. Looking ahead, Chelsea seem to be clicking at just the right time. A top 4 finish would be a massive success in Maresca's first season, especially given the turbulence they've faced. For Spurs, the focus has to shift to damage control, finishing strong, restoring some pride, and laying the groundwork for next season. Postecoglou has a long summer ahead, with major work needed to fix both their shaky defense and inconsistent attack. In the end, this London derby was another reminder of the gap between these two clubs. Chelsea had the quality, the structure, and the belief to get the job done. Tottenham, on the other hand, are still searching for answers in what's becoming a season to forget. When it comes to standout performances from this London derby, some players rose to the occasion, while others faded into the background. Let's break it down. First up, the match winner, Enzo Fernández. The Chelsea captain delivered when it mattered most, timing his run to perfection and nodding home Cole Palmer's pinpoint cross for the only goal of the game. That's 8 Premier League goals for the Argentine, with 3 of them set up by Palmer, his most reliable provider. But Enzo wasn't just about the goal. He dictated the tempo, kept things tidy in midfield, and nearly lit up Stamford Bridge with an audacious overhead kick. In the 79th minute, he danced past Bentancur and whipped in a dangerous cutback, showcasing the technical class that made this a true captain's performance. Then there's Cole Palmer, Chelsea's creative heartbeat. His assist was his 7th of the season, a long overdue contribution after 16 games without one. But when it came, it was perfection. He wasn't done there. A clever turn and shot in the 49th minute forced a save, and in the 83rd, his wicked first-time cross almost snuck in at the back post before Vicario clawed it away. Chelsea lean on him heavily, and for good reason. He delivers. Moises Caicedo put in a midfield masterclass, even after a worrying early knock. By halftime, he hadn't misplaced a single pass, won 7 of 9 duels, and went 4 for 4 on tackles. One of those was a crucial sliding challenge to stop Udogie on the break. His volleyed goal was ruled out for offside in the build-up, but that shouldn't overshadow his performance. The Ecuadorian is proving why Chelsea broke the bank for him. For Spurs, Guglielmo Vicario was the reason they weren't buried. The Italian shot-stopper pulled off some stunning saves, one to tip Sancho's effort over the bar in the 44th, another to deny Palmer's looping cross in the 83rd. Without him, Chelsea could have put this one to bed much earlier. That said, his passing was shaky. He nearly gifted a goal in the 9th minute with a careless pass and put his own team under pressure with a poor ball to Romero in the 26th. Robert Sanchez also had his big moment. The Chelsea keeper preserved the lead with an instinctive 89th minute save, blocking Son's close-range effort with his chest. That stop effectively sealed the 3 points. Christian Romero had a mixed day. He made some key defensive interventions, but his physicality got the better of him. Another yellow card in this fixture, this time for clattering into Colwill. This derby is already known for its bookings, and Romero seems determined to keep it that way. Nicholas Jackson was a live wire for Chelsea. He nearly made it 1-0 inside the first minute, nudging the ball past Vicario only for Van de Ven to deflect it onto his own post. In the 29th minute, he burned Romero for pace and curled a shot just wide. His movement was a constant headache for Spurs, though his night was blemished by a reckless challenge on Romero that earned him a yellow card. Son Heung-Min, making his 274th Premier League start for Spurs, moving past Darren Anderton in their all-time list, struggled to leave his mark. His best chance came late, sliding in at the far post in the 89th minute, only to be denied by Sanchez's heroics. Spurs needed a spark, but their captain couldn't provide it. James Maddison had a frustrating night as well. He tried to dictate play but was stifled by Chelsea's well-drilled midfield. His 81st-minute free kick summed up his night, smashing into the wall and bouncing behind for a corner. Tottenham's attacking struggles were on full display. Off the bench, Noni Madueke brought fresh legs for Chelsea, nearly making an instant impact, while Brennan Johnson and Mathys Tel tried to inject life into Spurs' attack but found no way through. This was a game where individual brilliance made all the difference. Fernandez's goal, Palmer's assist, Caicedo's dominance, and Sanchez's late heroics tilted the balance in Chelsea's favor. For Spurs, the key players they needed just couldn't step up. This has been Across the Pitch, over and out.